What up, is Marcus Dynasty Fun. We have a DeAndre Swift signed free jersey. All you have to do is be a subscriber for a chance to win. When we hit 2K, we'll be giving it away to one of you guys. We're going to be going through Breece Hall. Is he the 101 in Superflex? Is he the 101 in 1QB rookie drafts here coming up in 2022? We're going to be going through his profile, his college career, his strengths, weaknesses, and where we project him to be in the 2022 rookie class. Let's start off with this profile. He's an Iowa State running back. David Montgomery leaves. Kenny Nguanu is there, the kind of the speedster, and then you have Breece Hall. He's 6'1", 220 pounds, just under the age of 21. He's a junior, which will always be like. We like those running backs that come out that are not 4 or 5 year starters. Not saying any names, Brian Robinson. And so we have a college career arc that has been really well from his age of being 18 years young all the way now into being just a little older than 20. But let's look at, he's 6'1", 220 pounds. When you're 6'1", 220 pounds, that's a good size for a running back. We don't want running backs below that kind of 205-pound threshold. And really, analytically, we want to start checking off these boxes. And I'll tell you, when we get to the analytics, it is very sweet for Breece Hall. Very sweet. And so college career, let's start with that. His freshman year, 186 attempts, 897 yards, and 9 touchdowns. And you might see some different graphics here that I post up about Breece Hall, maybe even some of the videos. They have to be short or else YouTube goes, get out of here, you're copyright, and I don't want that. So, but again, he had 9 touchdowns rushing. He moved that up to 21 touchdowns his sophomore year, 20 on his junior year, but over 1,500 yards his sophomore year, and over 1,400 yards his junior year. He is a receiving back as well. He's had 20 receptions every single year, 23, 36, was what you want to see with a running back that is a 3-down type of running back at the next level. And when you're talking about a guy who, you want a guy production-wise, Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, well, I'm naming all the running backs in the last couple classes that can stay on the field because they are great at, or not great, they are at least sufficient enough in the receiving game. They might not be amazing, they might not be the best in the league, but they can actually stay on the field for 3 downs. Let's go through the analytics, because the analytics are very sweet. And usually we don't get to say this much, but the reason why I love Breece Hall and why he is one of my favorite running backs coming out of this class is because of his analytics. 10.9 target share. Target share is what do you get in the receiving game. If you have 10.9% as a running back at the collegiate level, that is ridiculous. That is elite. We love the running backs that can catch in college specifically. And then so dominator rating 41.9%. That is also elite and ridiculous. This percentage tells us that Hall accounts for that much percent of the team's total offense. So he's pretty much 42% of Iowa State's total offense as a running back, which, again, those are stats that they translate to the NFL actually pretty decently, and you love to see. Yards per carry, 5.8. Still very good. Not into that elite 95 percentile and above, but that's still pretty good. Weight, 215, 220 pounds, which is, again, another kind of check on the box in the right direction. He has the size. We need 2 things. We need 1, draft capital, which we don't know yet in analytics. And we need, number 2, we need that 3-cone, and we need that burst ability, which is a very important aspect for a running back, which I talked about last year. So if you didn't look at that, I might even have to recreate another video on last year's what kind of statistics, what are we looking from the NFL Combine, I said Combine weird, Combine that translate into NFL production and NFL fantasy production, which is all we care about. The film, though, I'm going to be sharing a couple clips up here, and hopefully, if they're not there, then that means YouTube made me retake it down, and so they won't be there, and you're just going to have to believe me, I guess. But in the first film that I'm planning on putting up there, it is Breece Hall doing a little dump off here, and making a quick juke away from a defender, that one cut breakaway ability. A, he can catch the ball. 2, you can actually see that he has that quick burst and agility, quick and cut from from the defender, and it's a very DeAndre Swift-esque type of catch. And so there's some games that kind of mirror themselves. I think Hall and Swift do have a little bit of mirror imaging happening in some of it. DeAndre Swift, I think, is a better potential pass catcher, but I think they kind of do mirror similar attributes. And right now, Hall is, even as a rookie and not even playing it down and not even having a landing spot right now, is a top 20-ish, right in that borderline Dynasty Fantasy running back. And that's why he's going to be so high in the rookie rankings. Number 2, you can see that he doesn't have that full burst, but he does have good speed hitting that kind of lane. That I think that's B or C gap there. I might need to rewatch it again. Let's see, A, B gap. And you can see that he's got enough speed to get to the outside, but that breakaway speed is that speed that Jonathan Taylor, that 4.3, he just doesn't have it. And that's why he gets chased down by some of these cornerbacks. And he seems to not have that 21, 22 miles per hour, which is fine. Like, again, his vision is good. He saw that lane. And really, if you perform the statistics like he did at Iowa State, you really need to have good vision. You need to have decent speed. I mean, he may have 4.45 speed, 4.50 speed. Is that going to change my opinion at Breece Hall at all? Not really. He's got the quickness, the burst, and even the passing down back. And then the last one here, another run bounce to the outside. As you can see, he gets cut off by that angle of the safety there. Yep, that safety coming over. And just, again, a faster running back there, maybe a little bit more of a speedster, cuts that, just breaks through that and breaks away from that. But that's a good angle by that safety. And so you're going to see some of these positives being that analytics, you got to love the analytics on Breece Hall. Number 2, you got to love everything that you probably watch vision-wise. He does need to work on 2 things, I would say, well, 3 things particularly. I think are his weaknesses. He's really good at everything else. 3 things. 1, top speed, which can't sometimes really work on that. 2 is pass protection, which I don't have a video on pass protection, but he does lack on some pass protection. And 3, just working on that route running. I think that's what sometimes running backs just lack. And you see that even with Jonathan Taylor, who's not as diverse of route runner, you can still be a really good fantasy producer at these dump-offs, these swing routes, these choice routes, these block-and-go routes. Like, there's a lot of different routes that a running back can run and not be a great route runner. You can just be kind of this dump-off player and then burst and make cuts. And so that's what Breece Hall definitely does. And so where do we have him in Dynasty Fantasy Football? In 1 QB and Superflex, which is kind of rare for a running back to be in the same position in both, but I see him as my 101. The only thing that I think would topple that, well, I think the only people that could really jump ahead of him would be players that have an amazing landing spot that are so close to him. So you'll hear in the next upcoming videos some of the players that I have that might jump over him, or if you've listened to any of my videos prior, you might see some of those players that might be close into those tiers. But Breece Hall right now is my 101. I really hope he goes into like a Miami or Atlanta or someplace that really you can see that workhorse running back. Places I don't really want him to go. I don't really want him to be at like a Jet or something like that, where he's sharing the backfield with Michael Carter. I don't want him to. I don't want him to be in a kind of running back by committee. I think no one really does, but I don't want him to be with another young running back. You want Breece Hall to be with older vets that almost like the Javonte Williams situation last year. You look at, he went with the situation with Melvin Gordon, where clearly they were close in statistics and they were close in pretty much every single category, it seemed like. But now it looks like Javonte's going to take the step, and Melvin Gordon will probably go somewhere else. We at least assume and hope. But we're hoping the same for Breece Hall, that he either goes into that where there's a vet, or to where there's just an open vacancy, like Atlanta or like Miami or Buffalo, who desperately needs a top running back. You see Breece Hall go to one of these places, and 101 is going to be pretty much locked up for him. Where do I see him related to other running backs in other classes? Let's go through some Dynasty rankings. I guess I wasn't fully prepared, but I can throw up some Dynasty rankings here real quick. I'm pretty sure these are on my Patreon. If not, I need to upload those pronto on my Patreon. But I see, so David Montgomery, Iowa State running back before Breece Hall was there. He is my running back 17. I have him right along that Breece Hall and him right in that same kind of category. Him, Antonio Gibson, who's up there ahead of him. yeah, I mean, you have him, Derrick Henry, like all these kind of categories right next to each other. Are you a contender? Are you a rebuilder? Derrick Henry might even move further down on my list. Travis Etienne, if he was moved into this class, we'll say, because he didn't really play last year, or J.K. Dobbins, you have a really hard time debating between where Breece Hall, depending on his landing spot. Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins, Travis Etienne, they all might be very similar. Right now I have J.K. Dobbins pretty high at 11, but Breece Hall easily could be up into that category. There was a lot of prospect hype for Breece Hall 12 months ago, and I think the 2023 class has watered down this 2022 class, which you can get some really good value. And I discussed that in a couple different videos on how I believe this 2022 class is already being overlooked, kind of like 2019 going into 2020. Like, hey, we don't care about 2019, and you end up missing players. I think David Montgomery has been fine. I think he's been decent. I don't think he's been bad, but you missed maybe like AJ Brown and DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel and Josh Jacobs has been a low-end RB1 for the last couple of years, and so you miss these players because constantly Dynasty owners are already looking into the 2023 class. And so don't look too far ahead. Look at this 2022 class, and I think Breece Hall is going to be a really, really good low-end RB1 by 12 months from now. I think we're going to sit here and look at him into this kind of Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Eckler realm. For fantasy dynasty, or I think for dynasty value-wise, I think if he finds a good position, you can see him sneak into that dynasty top 10 12 months from now, which I think, and yeah, of course, there's always busts. There's the CEHs of the world, and there's Bishop, there's Bishop Sankey, and all these different players that could totally devalue, they could totally bust in value. But I would say that I would put confidence in Breece Hall, that I would put him more into the DeAndre Swift category, or I do still believe in Travis Etienne. This is a very off tangent to saying that I think Breece Hall is a fairly safe player, dynasty-wise, and I actually have more concerns of the other running backs in Tier 1, which are Kenneth Gainwell and Isaiah Spiller. I have more red flags on them than I do Breece Hall. Breece Hall is almost like that kind of, not boring prospect, but he's just safe, and we already know. It's like you're trying to validate an argument almost against him, because it's like, well, we kind of already know that he's 101. He should be 101, or he should be at least the first running back taken off the board. And people are just like, but Kenneth Walker's the new hotness, and Isaiah Spiller has these really elite attributes that maybe neither Kenneth Walker or Breece Hall have. And you're like, I kind of like the new sexiness versus well, he's already been around for 3 years. And so don't be fooled into that, and I think Breece Hall is a 101 type of prospect, and a prospect that when we look at 2023, yes, those running backs might be better, but if you compare, I think Breece Hall to some of these even 21 running backs, you might go, oh wow, he kind of fits into being still holding his own. And so that's what you have to ask for right now. If you're looking for a running back, Breece Hall is the one that I am putting my most chips and money into if I have the first running back that I have to take off the board. All right, this is Marcus Dynasty Bats. Peace out. We'll see you soon.